So, another vlog for my class, and it's good practice to be on camera. So, I do have some notes here that I'm about to go over, but yeah, let's get started. My name is James, and this is my second vlog for my assignment on Black education. And the questions today are, if you were designing a modern-day citizenship school for marginalized communities, what issues, social issues, will you focus on first, and why are these issues most important and most urgent? The first thing I would focus on is just civic and digital literacy. I feel like back then it was all about signing your name on a paper and passing out voter registration laws. And today it's about how to vote and how to see through misinformation, or how to recognize systems that are kind of set there to confuse you and keep you out of the overall world. I see that urgent because people often miss the opportunities because they're stuck in those systems that shape their lives because they just don't know how to navigate them. I think also, once you know how to point out misinformation, you get more selective on what you take in, and that's good to know, because misinformation is almost as bad as no information, because you think you're receiving something. And I think in a way that does put some people's mind states in a historical place where we didn't have an internet and have all the social media. I mean, what good does it mean for us to have all this information if it's information that's not true, or sprinkled with a little percent, 1% of rat poison in the food, which spoils it all. But second question, would you aim your program towards a specific group of people? I would say my first response is be yes, because I think that out of high school, college, first year college, people, they're about to approach adulthood and civic life and knowing how to participate in life, and to get them to know some of these basic things would be great. But sticking to the tradition of the citizenship schools, they were kind of like multi-generational. So I think it would be also nice to have young amongst older students, just to have a better experience. Which ideas or teaching approaches from leaders like Horton, Clark, or Robinson, or Baker would you build into your program? One thing that really stood out to me was in my reading was see if I can bring it up real quick. But it was about it was in the Learning for Liberation, and I believe it said that Clark suggested that the successful teacher balances and unites the interests and aspirations of students with their own beliefs of what knowledge, actions, and values should be promoted by the learning experience. I found out that you don't tell people what to do. You let them tell you what they done, and then you have to have in your mind certain things that you feel they need to do, and so you get their thoughts and wind your thoughts around. But if you have a cut and dry program, you'll lose. But if you have a cut and dry program, you'll lose out every time. And for Robinson, the program worked because it employed a basic tenet of the Highlander philosophy. That is, the direction and substance of a program must emerge from the people and not be brought to them, however well intentioned. And this is what is called the percolator effect, rather than the dip technique. If a program is to work, the people must have the power making decisions about what they want to do. I thought that was just a great way of building a relationship with the people that you're teaching. The idea of working what they already have, and not this one shoe fits everything, and if not, we're going to put you somewhere else. And I think that when you're in those classrooms, it provides an environment that's more safer for you to learn. So I really like that aspect from Robinson. Next question. Okay. What practical steps would you take to recruit students into your program, and how long will you tackle the biggest issue you identify in your question? I'll go to trusted communities, the barber shops, the churches. Out here in Sacramento, I'll go to Florin Road, community colleges, some lounges. I think what's really important is making sure that you tap into some of the Facebook groups or some of these groups on social media. And I think when you're tackling misinformation, you got to make sure that your lessons are practical. And how to check if info real, checking if info's real, checking to see if what you're receiving is actually trusted information, or something that I think people have a need for, but they don't understand how big it is. So once you come into the school that I created, and we give you these simple examples, I think that it will really open the eyes. How does this issue show up in young people's and adults in today's world? And can you give some examples? I think most kids don't learn about local government and voting. I know I didn't really understand it to begin with. And even as I get older, I'm understanding that although that every 4 years is an important election for me, I know that every 2 years there's also great elections. Every 6 months there's an election or more. All these certain elections affect me. And I think to a certain extent, my ability, and almost I want to say to memorize words or even just literacy in reading allowed me to demystify the whole voting process and understand what it really is, because they make it seem a bit difficult to get to. So I think that the earlier you get it is the best, but also that's why it's multi-generational, because there's also people like me who didn't get it, who can still use it today, and it can still be valuable because they're still voters. There's still people who got to participate in life. So I don't think that it is regulated to one age, but other examples. I really think a big part of what I mentioned about misinformation and voting, I think a big part of my school that we kind of have because of the citizenship schools, and even since then, it's 2025, we have the ability to let people know. I don't think, because I didn't know how documented our struggle were in the little small ways, and how we almost, how Black Americans, formerly enslaved Black Americans, even inspired, universal education in the South, for them supporting like public education, like all this stuff is something that I didn't know about. So I think woven into the citizenship school that I would create is just the history of all this stuff, just of our educational journey and the opposition that it's always had. And I think one of the biggest questions I had is, when did it disappear? We started this history from Sabbath schools, Pitt schools, moving into religious schools, and then freedom schools, and then we grow into citizenship schools, and then you start to follow the history and just say, okay, when did we not work for everything that we got now? And once you see that, you can even understand the world now when you see why there are even conversations about education. But I might have rambled. But thank you for listening to my vlog, and